Welcome to Season 4 of the Biz Show, sponsored by InvestQuire. Discover what's next with this insightful podcast. And now, your hosts, Barry and Lisa. Hi, Barry. How are you today?
Lisa, how are you today?
I got an extra Lisa today.
You got 2 extra Lisas.
Well, sometimes I feel like I wish I can clone myself because there's so much.
You know, I do too. I wish I had probably about 4 or 5 clones going around. That would really help a lot because then I could just kick back and relax.
I don't know if I could handle 4 or 5 berries.
Actually, you know what? I would be, as I've said in the past, I've retired 3 times. I'd be bored stiff if I sat around and just relaxed. So, no, maybe 1.
Wow. Well, that brings us to today's podcast. We're in Season 4,
Episode 5.
Yay.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Biz Show. Thank you for watching Lisa and I. We're here to help you guys navigate the business world and provide information that you may or may not know and help you succeed in your business. This is, as you said, Lisa, Episode 5 of Season 4. What's the topic?
That is our goal. Definitely, we want to help you guys succeed and make your road more simplified and successful. So today's podcast is setting up your business dashboard KPIs. And
why? You know, and what is a dashboard and what is a KPI and why does it matter to you, right? And you know, the thing is this, right? We've talked the first couple episodes about getting your businesses set up and established and what to do in the first 7 days of your business. This really should follow right after that. And really what this is it's a tool to help you monitor your business growth, the health, and what it's doing, right? So it allows you to visualize the different things that are going on. So you know, we've talked to many business owners in the past, and unfortunately, they're not measuring the things that matter. And that really costs them in the end when we go to sell the business, exit, right? Their exit money, so on and so forth, because, oh, well, there's things that are subpar, whatever the case might be, and now the price drops.
Yeah, and that, you know, that really brings up the point that Barry mentioned about them not really measuring it correctly, because most business owners are like, well, let me pull out a P&L or a spreadsheet or something, and they think, well, that's how they're going to be able to look at their overall business numbers and growth. But it's not about the spreadsheets. Those are not the dashboards that we are touching on today's episode. So we just want to make that one point really clear in your mind if you are a business owner, that spreadsheets are not your dashboard for number analyzation. So today we're going to dive in and talk about the dashboards, and we're going to tell a story for you that all decision makers should know. So let's, you know, talk about the dashboard and what it is really entailing and what it's all about and what it's going to give you.
Yeah, you know, so you make a strong point, right? We're not talking about spreadsheets. And you said P&Ls. 80% of the people don't even know how to read a P&L. So that said, this is where dashboards come in. What is it? It's a representation of the numbers. Absolutely. It comes from many different places. But, you know, I'm a pilot, right? And as a pilot, when I'm flying an airplane, I have dials and gauges and everything like that on the screen that tell me with the attitude of the airplane, the altitude of the airplane, the pitch of the airplane, stuff like that. So that's kind of what a dashboard is, right? It could be radio dials, it could be bar chart. And I like the bar charts because that helps you trend, right? It helps you see the trending going on. But these are all the vital statistics of your business, right? You know, what are your revenue sales every single day? Is it growing? Is it going down? How much are you spending? Is that growing? Is that going down? Where those two converge? Things like that. So unlike a spreadsheet, dashboards actually update from information organically and not manually. They can do it by themselves.
That's right. And why a dashboard is needed? Well, basically, you want your leader of your company to be able to make a really quick, informed decision by being able to access the dashboard and knowing what the business story is telling you. So that's where leaders are able to make executive decisions on a very quick basis. And it also provides visibility across your sales, your operations, the finance, the marketing, and customer success. So all of those are going to be telling its own story within the dashboard. So that's a very good way to glance at everything all together. So you have the entire whole picture of your company. And it's very essential when you're planning on scaling your company, because you really want to execute that scaling at the appropriate time. And so having the whole picture of the company on your dashboard is really important when you're making the decision whether to scale or not. It also increases alignment across all of your teams. So therefore, if you see like one area of your business that doesn't have the numbers that you desire, then you know where to put your focus and to make sure that everybody's aligned and moving forward at the same rate. And again, that ties into the scaling as well. So taking a look at your dashboard as a leader, as a company owner, it really provides you the ability to have confidence, especially when you're dealing with investors and your buyers and your clients. So you could portray that when you're selling your product or services to somebody else. So just to remember that predictability and accountability, buyers and investors want to see the trend and not just a snapshot. So they want to see the overall picture and how the numbers are progressing over time.
Right. A snapshot is just a point in time, right? At one little point, they want to see that whole trend because the trend tells the picture. And so, focus on the consistency of these metrics, right? So the fact that dashboard shows the business is being managed, not just being reported on, right? So that's what the spreadsheets and all that is. They're just reports. But if you're looking at that dashboard and you can see things, you can act.
Right. And the way that it works is that data sources like your CRM and your accounting software and your project management software, your marketing platforms, all of those are going to be important pieces of your dashboard. And the data integration are the tools that pull the data via the APIs, and not really manual exporting, but everything should be pulled into that dashboard. So you'll have the visualization piece. Sorry, I couldn't get that word out. Visualization piece on your dashboard, in terms of like having the charts and the tables and the trends that Barry just discussed with us about having the ability to see the trend of your business. And consistent numbers is really where it's at, because that's going to provide the assurity to the investor, to the consumer, that your business is something that people want and they want to be a part of it. So having those trends available to you to see as a leader will really provide your confidence, like we talked about, to be able to show that and share that with somebody else as well when needed. So it could be that you refresh it, how frequently you do it depends on, your own personal needs or how you run your company. But it could be a scheduled thing that you do quarterly, or it could just be in real time when you just want to kind of get to know your company from the outside.
Yeah, perfect. Excellent. Well said, Lisa. So let's talk about how do you build a KPI? Or a dashboard. We talked about how to use dashboards, so on and so forth, but how do you set one up, right? So there's two approaches, right? There's the DIY, do it yourself approach, which you're probably going to use spreadsheets, QuickBooks, your CRM might be HubSpot, if you're using Stripe or Spotify, things like that. You want to pull all those things in into the dashboard. You can build that dashboard. You can drop all those things in a spreadsheet, and then in the spreadsheet you can build a dashboard, and then you can see things and visualize. That's what we're looking for, really. We're talking about the visualization of all these things. Because look, if you're pulling things from QuickBooks and Shopify and Stripe and all these other places, it's information overload, right? How can you process all that information when all you're seeing is numbers? So that's where the dashboard really comes in. So that's one approach. The next approach is go out and purchase. There's a lot of websites and platforms out there that will allow you to build dashboards, and they'll grab that stuff for you. It's going to cost you a little bit of money, maybe $50 a month. Is that worth it or not? Could be. But they have pre-built connectors that go out to your CRM and to QuickBooks and stuff like that and bring everything back. And then what you have is you have a screen with all these either charts or dials or whatever the case might be that you can see. And you can set the frequency as to updates. You can have live updates, absolutely. Maybe you have hourly updates. Maybe you have daily updates. Maybe you have weekly updates. I personally always did all of those. I had a half day, a day, and then a week, and then a month, right? So that way I can see all on one page where I'm at, where I'm trending. You know, something I've always said, Lisa, here it comes,
Know your numbers.
is, oh, you reached in my mouth and just ripped that right out, didn't you? You knew it was coming.
I
Know
said,
your
Barry's
numbers.
the type of guy that loves to look at numbers and to really have an analysis of it in real time. And so he will analyze that up and down, sideways for you guys if you needed our analysis to help you get to the next point and scale your company. Barry is really, really good with numbers, and we're very much into providing about an evaluation of your company where you're at.
Well, what I'm really into is success, right?
Yeah,
And that's what helps me get there. And that's what help you as one of our listeners get there or our followers get there as well, is if you're informed. And that's what I want to know. I want to be informed.
yeah,
So there are many, many popular dashboard websites and tools out there, right? There's uh, um, Power BI for Microsoft, right? That's about $10 a month per user. There's is it Tableau? Tableau, $70 a month.
Flex, the Tableau. Yeah, that's very much for somebody that has like enterprise grade analytics and needs the visual reporting, but it tends to be a little bit more pricey at like $70 approximately per month,
Yeah,
per user even. But they do offer subscriptions.
a good a good one to start is really Looker, right? Looker's by Google, and it's
Yep.
free.
Yeah.
So you could start there. It might not be everything that you want, but it'll give you the basics and get you started.
Right. And you have Kiltfolio, which is also a business dashboard with lots of connectors, and the pricing starts around 50 to 100, basically, depending on the package that you choose.
Yep, definitely Domo and Grow. The Domo is more of an enterprise level. Once you're making, a couple $10,000 a month, maybe even bigger, you probably want to go there. Grow is another dashboard platform for SMB, so a good place to start. They have tiers on their pricing and stuff like that. And then, of course, everyone knows the last two,
Yeah.
QuickBooks.
I use QuickBooks, and that's really good for financial data, but not necessarily your entire dashboard. So QuickBooks is basically really specialized in the financial aspect of your company, right?
Right, right, absolutely. And then HubSpot, right? We use HubSpot for our CRM. And so that can help us see what's going on as far as marketing and sales and intake and things like that.
Yeah, make sure that you don't, use a product that you're not really ready for. So pick a tool that reflects your business maturity and size. And you don't need to overbuild early on. You could increase your um, tools as you move along.
Absolutely. And I want to point something out. And this was a quick hit that Lisa did a couple weeks back in regards to don't automate what you don't know, right?
Mhm.
And so learn the process to understand the dynamics of how that works and how you derived at that number and stuff like that. Then put it in a dashboard, right? It's, some people say, oh, it's just magic. It happens. Okay, it can and it does, but how did it get there? And if something goes haywire on it, where do you go to fix
That's right. Yeah.
it?
So don't need to be bogged down with all of that necessarily upfront, but we all need to grow it at a certain pace and just make sure that you're choosing the right product.
Yeah, exactly. So we talked about dashboards, right? And so what information are those dashboards going to provide? And typically we would call that information a KPI, right? Which is a key performance indicator. And what that is, it's a particular a number or whatever, but you as an owner, you might say, okay, I've hired this salesperson and I'm going to pay them $2,500 a month in a draw of a commission, and I'll pay them $2,500 a month against a draw of their commission. So you might want to have that as a KPI in a dashboard to make sure that they produce over that amount, so that you're not spending extra money that because
Yeah.
they're not doing anything, right? So a key performance indicator really is just a chosen number that you particularly choose that it goes along with your business. So what does that do? Well, it aligns with strategic goals, right? Number one. Number two, it's a measure. It's a number that is measurable and clear. Number three, it's actionable, meaning there can be decisions made against that number, right? Um, it compares to comparable to overtime, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then the one of the things that you want to do is you want to assign somebody to be responsible for that KPI. It doesn't have to be you. If you've got employees and stuff like that, maybe you
Right.
assign one of your employees to, monitor this number, and then when something goes wrong or right, hop on it.
That's right. Yeah, and some examples of meaningful KPIs would be like your financial, your gross profit margins, your cash runway, your EBITDA figures, and your CAC and LTVs. So those would be your financial data that would be across the dashboard and having a meaningful story in terms of your KPI numbers. Sales and marketing, like your MOLs and your SOLs and conversion rates, customer acquisition is very important. And so you definitely want to know how you're converting, right? Because you may need a new sales team if you're not converting. So
Right. Or maybe you need a new script to convert. Who knows?
that's right. Maybe need to pivot, as we like to say. I heard Anthony actually use the word pivot with a client yesterday. I was like, I wonder where he got that from.
All right, Anthony.
Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So, in corporate structure and in family businesses. So, anyway, another meaningful KPI could be the overall operations of your company, your inventory turnover, your quality control, and your defect rates and things like that. Where you could see where you're, creating more of a loss in your company, and you want to scale that number down. And also customer success, your chum rate, your net promoter score. We like to call that NPSs. So yeah, we want to make sure that you're looking at all the different aspects of the behind the scenes of how your company is running overall. So
You
those are
know,
some targets.
yeah, and you're right. And with the churn rate, there's one other thing that I like to put in there, and that is your attrition rate too, right?
Mhm.
Because your churn rate is the what you're moving along with and so on and so forth. But attrition is if you're losing customers out the back end, are you bringing customers in the front end to offset that, right? Everybody wants to protect their book and make
Yeah,
sure that it's constant. Obviously, you want to grow that book. You want to have more customers coming in the front door than ones that are leaving out the back door, right?
right. Repeat customers, that's the key too. Yeah.
Right. So we talked about building dashboards. Let's talk about building KPIs, right? Um, this is pretty simple in the form of everything, in the fact that it's a business objective, right? So again, you're picking a number that is specific to your sales, your marketing, your accounting, whatever it might be, right? And then what you want to do is determine what's leading and what's the lagging indicator. So you're going to build yourself, right, a range, a high end range and a low end range. And then that's what you want to monitor, right? If you start dipping towards that low end range, some action is going to need to be taken. If you passed off and you're up against the high end range, maybe you don't need to do anything. But me, what I like to do is I like to go out and talk to customers and thank them for the business and see what
Right.
else we can do. So to me, that's the indicator to get my butt out of the chair, get it in the car, get over to the customers, and have a one-on-one, face-to-face with them.
Yeah, it'll create that sense of urgency to take action in that
Yes, it
specific.
does. It does. So leading, you want the leading, but you want the lagging too. And then so you're going to set whatever those targets might be, and then just want to confirm that the data that you're bringing in is the correct data, right? So you want to make sure it's solid information, and then automate the process, right? And that
Yeah,
automating goes into the dashboard.
that's right. Exactly. So, how do you use your KPI and how to monitor it as you go along? Well, that's very important also because you want to do weekly operational check ins to make sure everything is functioning and the numbers are being accumulated correctly. You want to do monthly leadership reviews so that you're able to really delegate and have a review of what is happening amongst your organization. Quarterly strategy alignment, again, bring people to the table, talk about the areas that are lagging or weakened and how you can strengthen that so that you can improve your KPI numbers overall in the different target areas. And then set alerts for you so that you can have like goals within each of those sectors and create thresholds that you want to achieve as a company. Share that with your team and your employees and the entire organization so people know what your vision is and what your goals are for the whole company. It keeps people motivated and on track so that they can hold themselves accountable to their jobs. And then also an angle would be a KPI without action is only just a number. So it's all encompassing. So you definitely need to put on your leadership hat when you are discussing the overall dashboard with your team and make sure you're always focusing on creating a better company, right? Like Barry
Right.
said, create success.
When I was the CEO of a company, I had a tech person create a dashboard page for me. And so they worked on it for about a week and put everything. I told them what I want. Well, they gave me a whole bunch more. And when I pulled up the page to look at it, there were probably about 30 different things on there. I'm like, whoa, back up. I only want like 10. I don't need 30. A lot of this stuff is not important. I mean, it is important, but it's not the focus, right? The focus is what's driving the business forward. Do I need
Yeah.
to know employee retention? Yeah, I probably do need to know employee retention, but that's not going to get me to grow that business in revenue wise, which is
Right.
what the focus really was in these particular dashboards. So, hiring employees and employee retention. I mean, I had a great employee retention, but not something that need to be monitored on a daily basis or a weekly basis, right?
And maybe you have somebody that's in charge of that anyway.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
maybe you're HR director, right?
Yeah.
So, well, we have a couple of tips for you here too, right? So the first one is, start with just 3 KPIs, and keep in mind that it doesn't have to be fancy, right? It just needs to be, what's the information that you need?
What's
What
most,
do you need to see to get out there?
yeah. And then tip number two, assign owners to every KPI so that you can hold them accountable to what
Very
they're,
important.
yeah.
Yes, very important. Because again, as Lisa said just above, if you got a KPI and you're not having any action against it, then it's just a number, right? So that's very important. The third tip is track trends instead of snapshots. Forget about snapshots because the snapshot again is right now. We want to see over the period of from the time you open to the time you close, from Monday through Sunday, through the first of the month through the 30th of the month. Those are the things because you can see the trend starting to go. A snapshot just shows you one point, maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon. What's that do for
Exactly.
you?
Yeah, you want to make sure that your numbers are going up or at least remaining consistent. So year over year is also really healthy to see, like, gosh, why did my numbers go down? Where did I fall short? How come that happened? And just, you'll be able to define exactly what you need to do and prepare for next year, which is what we all did at the end of 2025. We were all gearing up and preparing for our
Yeah,
2026 to make
here,
sure
here's
that,
and here's a quick story real fast. As a district manager for a large food company, I pulled in KPIs and dashboards on sales and customer rates per hour. So I could figure out when was the lunch rush, when was the dinner rush, and stuff like that. And then what that does for me is that then it allowed my general managers and stuff like that to ramp staff up during those periods and ramp staff down, when it wasn't that busy. Maybe they could run their restaurant with just a couple employees during the
yeah,
non-busy times, and at lunchtime, well, they might have 10, 20 employees in there.
there you go. Yeah.
So
And then tip number four is to automate your alerts and not your spreadsheets. Save time by avoiding errors and so forth. In the long run of it, you won't have to manually check. Maybe you could set some alerts up for you.
yes. A good tip number 5, is to review these and adjust them quarterly, right?
Mhm.
Unless they're completely out to lunch, then you might want to adjust it sooner. But, if you're looking at this monthly and then specifically quarterly, that's going to give you 90-day snapshot so you can see what's going on. And then maybe you need to adjust your numbers a little bit because it might be a little off or skewed a little bit. That's okay. Adjust.
Yeah, and five things that you want to avoid is avoid your vanity metrics, that just kind of feed your ego, the likes versus leads. Like we get people that are listening but not subscribing to our podcast. Hint, hint.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it seems to be, and we're out there on not just on YouTube because we're brand new to YouTube. We really need
Yeah.
your guys' help to grow the channel, but also syndicated in Spotify and everywhere else. And where we have a lot of listeners, 40,000 now,
Yeah.
we don't have a whole lot of people that have, subscribed and listened to us.
Yeah.
And, I hear all the time in all the YouTube channels that I watch, people are always saying, look, you know, I've got a lot of views on here. I've got 100,000 views on this, but I got 100 subscribers.
I know those metrics are way off, right? Yeah.
They are. And the thing is that's the algorithm for all of these platforms of how these shows and our
Yeah.
podcasts are promoted, right? The more likes and the more subs we have, subscribers, the more it organically goes out there and puts us out there in searches.
And that's what we need, guys. So please subscribe. I know it's like kind of like your inbox of your Gmail account or something. Like you don't want to get all these, things clogging your email. But, there's a really good tip for you somewhere along the way on one of our seasons or all of them, hopefully. So definitely subscribe. We really need you guys.
We do.
So, yeah.
So the second thing to really avoid is disconnected data sources. And what that means is go with the automated ones, right? And there are a lot of them out there in HubSpot. Probably your CRM and your accounting are going to be the two biggest places you're going to go. And you can almost pick any metrics out of that or KPI out of that and put it into your dashboard.
Yeah.
But if there's something that you manually have to put in there, don't do it because you're going to forget. You're going to do it for a week and then you're going to get,
No, then you'll get out of the habit of it. And
right.
definitely avoid the overly complex ones because you're going to spend all your time trying to figure it out than, actually being able to have your numbers be correctly analyzed. And so don't pick the most expensive one. Don't pick the overly complex one. Like I said, increase your tool belt as you're moving along and growing your company and start out with the basic one first. Don't overcomplicate things.
Yes, exactly. The fourth thing that you should avoid is not assigning owners to it, right? You could have 10 KPIs or dashboards out there. Assign a different owner to each one. It shouldn't be you. You can pick one or two for yourself, but put other employees. That engages your employees, right? And it gives them something to do. And now they feel the value and that you think they are valuable enough to have responsibility for something like this, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it'll motivate them to feel like you're putting them in charge of something and they'll feel like maybe a sense of leadership within the organization. So that's a
Right,
really
right.
good to do. And avoid ignoring the context. I am like one of those don't want to know my numbers. I don't want to know them. I just keep going like a bull in a china shop. I just, fail forward. I, am just running, leaps and bounds ahead, but it's really crucial to know your numbers if you're going to be scaling and if you want to build something great. So
Right.
I did learn that, along the way, like Lisa, take the time and analyze your company. So that is definitely why we're here today is to really drill that home. So don't ignore your context. It's very good to compare year over year, month over month, and just know where you need to maybe hire somebody or increase your level of services.
Hire us.
I thought
Yeah.
Barry was waving a fly out of the way, but
No, I was pointing to you.
he was
No,
pointing.
that
Call us today.
that's it.
Yeah, we love
So
helping you guys. So
definitely so. Well, that's a wrap for us today, guys, and we hope that you can take something positive out of this thing. And if you have any questions, please reach out to Lisa or myself. You can find us at investquire.com, right? You can also find us at the Biz Show on our Facebook page. And
yeah,
please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see, and if you're interested in becoming a guest on our show, let's have a conversation.
yeah, we need you guys. So we'll see you next time.
All right, guys. Thanks. Have a good day. Go make some money.
Thank you. you all for listening to the Biz Show podcast. Subscribe to stay updated and follow Barry and Lisa on Facebook at The Biz Show. Share your comments or suggest business topics that you'd like to hear. Thank you all for listening. Bye.